Welcome to the Grandstand Golf Podcast. I am Kevin Bapty, and I'm joined, as always, by my brothers Adam
Hey, what's going on, guys?
and Craig.
Hey guys, second billing. I was kind of hoping I was going to be first this week.
2 weeks in a row, too.
Now that I know that you're paying attention. Craig, I think you wanted to start us off by talking about a review we recently had.
Yeah, well, I mean, we get a lot of comments over on YouTube. Colm Brown loves to give us his picks especially on our Euro videos. But he mentioned on a recent video that we should be calling this the weekend golf recap because we are really trying to cover more than just whatever the PGA event is each week. And we have at least one European subscribers who loves what we're talking about. So that's, I think we're going to go ahead and do that. So we are going to try, I mean, we're always going to talk about a PGA event when there is one on the weekend, but we are going to really try to incorporate as much European Tour and LPGA content as we can. So yeah, we love to hear the comments, and we are happy to get, guidance from you guys. So let us know if there's anything else.
And they might just be featured on the podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I think all of us kind of wish we could watch more of the European Tour. It's just, unfortunately, with the time delay, I was up late there on Saturday night, early Sunday morning, and it took a toll. It took a toll.
One. Yeah.
I honestly find having to get up at like 5 these days, I find that the European Tour ones aren't bad. It's when they get into the Middle East that
exactly.
It's really it's really the middle of the night for us.
That's true.
I think it's a straight 12-hour difference, or maybe 11. Yeah, I don't know.
Dubai is essentially the total opposite. It's 12 hours, at least for me here. So 11 for you. That makes sense. That checks out.
Adam, do you want to start us off by giving us a recap of the U.S. Women's Open this weekend?
Yeah, so I mean, I guess we're going to talk about a couple tournaments here. U.S. Women's Open, I think, was the big one, guys. Great event. I really enjoyed how much coverage it got.
Sorry, just real quick. You mentioned we are going to talk about a couple of them. We are going to talk about the DP World Tour Championship as well. So, we'll put a timestamp in. If you don't care so much about the U.S. Women's Open stuff, that will be later. But we're going to focus on the Women's Open first.
I thought my tease was enough just to keep everybody listening right through it. Just teasing it a little bit. U.S. Women's Open, we got treated with a Monday finish with the cold weather in Houston, sloppy conditions. They kind of called Sunday pretty early there, so most of the fourth round was played on Monday. Hinako Shibuno was the 54-hole leader, and A Lim Kim birdied the final 3 holes, 16, 17, 18, just firing her irons to get close and get those birdie opportunities. She finished 1 stroke ahead of Jin Young Ko and Amy Olson, who had a tragic weekend and pretty incredible story that we'll get into here. But Kevin, I mean, a lot of time you kind of give us our global golf update for our podcast. So A Lim Kim, was she on your radar at all this year or coming into the U.S. Women's Open?
She was not. Unfortunately, she wasn't on my radar. But what can you say about that finish? I mean, holy cow. Maybe it was the mask, I'm not sure, but it also kind of looked like she was disgusted with some of those iron shots from the fairway. and then she stiffed them. I mean,
16 and 17 were stiff, and then 18 seemed like, I don't know, 12, 10 feet kind of downhill.
I think it was only about 7 or 8. But
was it?
Little bit of a tricky putt that she, obviously made for the win, but love to see the enthusiasm after that too, with a good fist pump. And I think she knew that would be a tough number to get to, and it would probably at least get her into at least in a playoff share. Yeah,
I mean, an hour before that, we had Inbee Park looking like she could get to even with a birdie on 18, and people were like, "Is that enough? Like, is even going to be enough?" Like, it was hard out there. Like, it was. I mean, they were playing in the mud. They had mud balls seemingly with every approach shot.
And I don't know. I think it might have been Paige McKenzie who really emphasized it on the broadcast, but they were so surprised. Both Lim Kim and Jin Young Ko. Jin Young Ko birdied 2 of the last 3, and A Lim Kim birdied 3 in a row. And she said she was just not expecting that kind of stretch. Like she thought par through those last 3 holes was going to be pretty competitive.
Well, we were kind of highlighted with Olson, with Shibuno. I feel like I thought Ko. I mean, Craig, you picked her out from the beginning of the tournament. I like Ko. I mean,
it's not exactly going on a limb to pick the world number one.
It's not, but she hasn't played a ton. Yeah.
She wasn't the favorite, so.
I thought kind of the last maybe 9, 7, 8 holes there that Ko was going to make that kind of sneaky attack. I didn't think. I mean, Kim wasn't getting much coverage at all. Yeah, it's incredible. It's a crazy finish.
It almost felt a little bit like a Masters, just with like someone that you're not really paying attention to goes on a crazy birdie run and posts a number.
A Danny Willett like run, almost.
Or like a Schwartzel like run.
Yeah.
I mean, I in those moments I find it hard for like the crew and like the TV truck kind of producing this, right? Like, do we cut? Like, at what point do we add this person to our rotation of the?
Yeah. And it's hard. Like, it's hard to, because you don't want to. I mean, we like to complain a lot about coverage takes, but you don't want to not tell the story of the people that you think the story's going to be about. So if you're just like cutting from shot to shot to shot, like not everyone wants the red zone experience. So
right.
Like then conversely, we'll talk about how we want to see every shot, and then we'll talk about like how awesome it is to hear the caddy conversations and these things. So you kind of have to pick your poison a bit. Although it did frustrate me when I saw people on Twitter talking about how much they love the uninterrupted coverage, and on TSN I'm watching them cut to commercial again.
But like at the most inopportune times, like someone's on the lineup above and they're like, and off to RBC, or
like they still give you the without sound picture, but it bothers me.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, I was kind of pulling for Amy Olson. Adam, why don't you give us a little bit of the story of hers?
Well, first, before we move on from A Lim Kim, first U.S. Open start, I believe, and first time playing in an overseas tournament.
Wow, I knew it was her first major. I didn't know it was her first time overseas.
It's pretty incredible. Tied the biggest Sunday comeback, 5 strokes.
5 strokes. Tied with Annika.
Had the second best strokes gained total round, I think, ever on a Sunday. So second best ever, which is kind of tricky because we don't get those stats. But I mean, this was in the USGA article. So really, really, really great performance.
Yeah. And again, I just can't get over the fact, it's like when you hit a good tee shot and you bend over and pick up the tee right away because it's down the middle of the fairway. It's not like, I guess when you are that good and you can just like flag it, it's like, okay, it's flagged. I'm just going to look away now. Yeah. Like she looked away early on those iron shots and they were fantastic shots. I guess, again, hitting so few of those shots, I'm going to stare it down to the very bitter end and probably not take my eyes off it the whole time I'm walking up towards it. But
Evan seems to be stuck in his backswing.
So let's get into Amy Olson, and then I want to get a little bit further. I want to go a little bit further into A Lim Kim and just how absurd the talent coming out of Korea is in the women's golf game. But Adam, tell us real quick, just recap for people that don't. I'm sure most people know this story.
And interrupt me if I have anything wrong, but I also believe she had the first ace on Thursday as well. There's 2 aces on Thursday. I think Amy Olson actually had that first one.
That was the only one I saw live, was Amy Olson's.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, a tragic. It's hard to kind of address this appropriately, but her father-in-law died unexpectedly. I believe on Saturday. So her husband rushed back. They're from North Dakota. I believe they both went to North Dakota State. She played golf. He, I think, is a football player, football coach now. So his father passed away suddenly, unexpectedly. She stayed. It was I'm sure a really, really tough and lonely Sunday to kind of sit that entire thing out. And then to come back Monday, put up the performance she did was pretty remarkable. And I think you could see the emotion kind of drain her when she finally finished it. She was probably riding kind of a wave, but really, really tough story.
Yeah, it is tough. And I think you do point out a good fact that it almost would have been easier for her if play just would have happened on Sunday, because like having to sit there, not being able to go home to you know, support your husband and do everything you feel like you want to be doing for your family, but then not being able to play golf that day as well. Like you're just like, man, I just have to sit here.
And I don't know what the rules are with the LPGA or with Houston, but it's not like you can just go and do whatever. Who knows? Yeah. You're kind of stuck to whatever.
Yeah. And you know, and all of that aside, arguably she was kind of in the biggest, you know, most in the groove there on Saturday. After her Saturday round, you know, Shibuno was had a poor Saturday in comparison. She
was way out in front after Friday, Shibuno, and then she had moved back a little bit on Saturday.
Yeah, so you know, I kind of felt like going into what would have been Sunday, you know, prior to any of this news dropping, that Amy Olson was a little bit in the driver's seat. Yeah. So, you know, as an athlete, I think sometimes it's the easiest thing is just kind of keep your head down and not think about what, as much as you can, not think about the outside things and just play. But unfortunately, like you say, very, very tough circumstances. And
absolutely.
Yeah. And you know what? Like she's never won. So like, it's still a great result for her. Like a tie for, like, I mean, you love it when you get the story where it's a win, and if it could have been her first win and all of these things. But once you can take a step back, like I think they give a silver medal to the second place here. And like, that's her best finish in a tournament. I mean, she has other seconds, and she has another second in a major. But still, like it's still a really incredible accomplishment. It's still a
crazy decorated like junior and collegiate career. She had a record 20 collegiate wins. And then she won the U.S. Girls Junior, which they talked about. A few have gone on to win the U.S. Open and Girls Junior. So she's kind of an early success, and then kind of why hasn't it happened yet on the next stage, it seems like.
Well, that might segue us into why it hasn't happened on the next stage. It's because the Koreans are absolutely dominant in women's golf. And so I've been doing a bunch of research on this today. So first off, just because this is, I think, puts it into a little bit of context, but A Lim Kim was 94th in the rankings going into this week. Big win. She moves up to 30th. She moves up 64 spots. She's still the 14th ranked Korean golfer.
Wow.
So the top 3 ranked right now are all Koreans. We've got 5 in the top 10, 19 in the top 50. So it's just incredible. Like this is a perfect example. Someone who comes over for their first tournament overseas and they win. I think it's potentially it's definitely a major, but I think it's potentially the biggest of the majors on the female side. So just first off, like the quality at the top is incredible in the Korean golf, the Korean female golf, but then the depth is just absurd. I was reading some things about how like it would be awesome to do a like a Ryder Cup style thing and do Korea versus U.S. And then like everything I was reading about this is just on Twitter, but everything's like, no, like legitimately you need to do like Korea versus the world. Like that's the only way you're going to have something that's balanced at this point in time.
Yeah, that's pretty remarkable. It is. Yeah. So,
and it's, I mean, a lot of these, it's going to get more and more dominant. Like we know Inbee Park, she's been around for a little while. She's still only, it was 2008, I think it was, Adam, when she won the U.S. Open.
And she was the
youngest winner at 19. Yeah. So she's just about, I would guess 31-ish. But she's like the seasoned vet of the group. So essentially, is it Seripak or Siripak?
Siripak, yeah.
So she was like the one who kicked this off.
Yeah, she was the linchpin of the whole thing.
Late 90s, early 2000s. She won 5 majors. And
so that I was watching a lot of golf in those days with a boy obviously playing pretty well. But yeah, and then
he's pointing to his Tiger Woods hat if you're listening to the audio only.
And if you're listening to the audio only, go to the YouTube channel.
There you go.
But Siri Pak and Annika Sormsand were like they were kind of neck and neck there for a while, and Siri Pak for a little bit was dominant. She was awesome. And I remember her, and the explosion that's happened after that is awesome. It's great to see. It's remarkable.
Well, I think it's so. I think there's a few. So I was reading some articles and like, why is this? Like, first off, there's cultural reasons. There's like a similar, I think, to Japan in a lot of ways. There's a culture of like work ethic where if you want to be the best at something, you just, and it's a repeatable skill, you just friggin' keep doing it repeatedly until you can do it as perfectly as possible. But then so in Korea, there's 3 levels. So like there's a Korean LPGA tour that is, so I was looking at 2019 because that was the last time both had full seasons. The top money winner there, if you were to exchange, do exchange rates, would have been about 4th on the LPGA. So like they're pretty good prizes and everything, which means you have good corporate money behind it as well.
Yeah.
But so you got the Korean LPGA, you got what's called like the Dream Tour, which is the main feeder tour, the Challenge Tour, or the Corn Ferry Tour type thing. Mm-hmm. But then there's a Jump Tour below that. So they get essentially all you can play there if you're a young professional, like for them, like 16, 17 years old. But also, I from what I understand, it's like the up and comers, but then they also have this culture where like the 30 to 50-year-old amateurs who are just awesome, they like get them to come to these tournaments to make these fields like very competitive. So essentially, when these kids are coming up through the ranks, they're playing competitive golf. Like they're not just practicing golf, they're playing competitive golf 20 tournaments a year from the time they're like 12, 13, I don't know what age. Some of these girls are dominant at 17, 18, 19, so it's got to be young that they're on winning on the Jump Tour. But then they also, instead of some of the ones in the States, they try to jump them right up to the LPGA, and they will play a handful. Like you look at Michelle Wie, she was playing a handful of tournaments a year on the LPGA without any membership status at that time. But you got to get used to like winning, and I think that's one of the things that does really well when you have those tiers. You get used to winning at that level, and then you go up to the Dream Tour level. You get used to winning at that level, and so the best players on the Dream Tour, they go and they're like oftentimes one of the in the top 10 maybe Rookie of the Year types on the Korean LPGA, and then some of them can make the hop the next year if they want to the LPGA.
It's interesting because you're playing NCAA, say Div 2 golf, and you're playing against all Div 2 golfers. But if you're on, say, this Jump Tour, then you're playing against people that have all this different wealth of experience or different backgrounds. So it's an interesting way to kind of grow your national sport, I guess, or your national tour.
Yeah, and I think so. It's a combination. I think you get potentially your biggest female athlete celebrity of 20 years ago is a golfer, and then that cascades, and then you get associations and corporations invested in it. And then you get success, and success kind of breeds success, and it becomes a bit of a snowball effect.
Yeah, yeah.
They're dominant.
They're dominant.
They did it right.
So, do you have any ideas for what you're going to brand it? I'm thinking like U.S. versus international as the President's Cup. Like, do you have any suggestions there, or is that too out of the blue? I don't want to put you on the spot there, Greg. Think about it. Maybe get back to us on that.
I don't know. There's already a LP. I forget what they call it. I want to say like the internationals or something, but it's like essentially the LPGA and the KLPGA have a match, like of all the best players. But the LPGA, half of them are Korean players. So like you get like Jin Young Ko playing against, I forget her name, Choi, who was, I honestly, I struggle with these names, but, or Hannah Jang is one of the better ones, who plays full time by choice over in Korea. Hai Jin Choi was the one I was thinking of. But yeah, so like the top matches in this internationals will be like a Korean versus a Korean. But then there's something more to it as well, because like I don't know why golf is held in such a high regard, because even expats from Korea, like is it Yelimi? No, the 19-year-old from California. Who was almost, she at one point early in the day, she was potentially going to make a run at being the youngest ever winner. American-born, Korean immigrant parents. Lydia Ko, New Zealand. Oh no, she actually was Korean-born but moved as an infant to New Zealand. Minji Lee, Australian but Korean roots. Like it's just it's weird to me how prevalent it is in the Korean culture, both within Korea and then people who have immigrated elsewhere.
Well, we were thinking about starting a segment called Soapbox Sunday. I wouldn't say that was. I
still have a Soapbox Sunday, actually.
I think that might get rejected now. I think
we're recording on a Monday, but that was it was a good tutorial. Thank you, Craig, for that. I appreciate it. It was an education for me. I haven't been able to dive that deep into it.
I haven't even put in a formal request for a Soapbox Sunday this week. That was more of an educational.
I like it because I feel like I get a trip inside Craig's mind as well, and I can almost see the browser tabs growing on his computer as he's talking. And I read a couple articles.
I was gonna say a trip inside Craig's mind is like it's a little bit of a dangerous thing. That might be kind of an Alice in Wonderland kind of thing here. I don't know how
actually, if you want a really good website to check out, it's just a blog from a fan, totally unassociated with any of these players, but it's called Soul Sisters, like SEOUL Sisters. But essentially he totally covers Korean golf both in North America and in Korea. So he just gives you, unfortunately he hasn't updated since this end of 2019, or at least that's the last blog post I saw. But he really gives you a great background into all these players.
I mean, doing research for DFS as well, I found the Korean website and actually the Japanese website as well, JLPGA, had more information than the LPGA. Mm-hmm. They had more stats. They seemed to have more information. It's fun to take that dive.
And that's a little something we saw a little bit with Shibuno. I was like, that's not right. I can't quite figure it out. Like there's a bunch of young Japanese women as well who are. It looks like there's kind of a generation 25 and under that are going to be making a continued amount of an increasing amount of noise here over the next few years.
So we haven't talked about all of the implications of the win for A Lim Kim yet. She's now eligible for LPGA status or an LPGA membership. She gets obviously into the next, I think it's 10
years.
10 U.S. Opens. And also $1 million first prize. That's something on the LPGA. That's not very often that they have that kind of prize money. So that's pretty awesome.
I think like there are, you see these big jumps in the PGA Tour sometimes and climbing the rankings, but all of them have some sort of seemingly backing, right? They have their clubs or they have their hat sponsors. They have all these sponsors. I just think when you go down to or you go over to the women's game, they don't have that much sponsorship dollars behind it, and $1 million first place check is gonna make a big difference in someone's lives and someone's career, for someone's family.
Especially when it's your first overseas tournament.
Yeah,
but that's also where I think the Korean women have a bit more of that. Like, I forget who it was they had mentioned, one of the Americans, but she was looking at like relocating because she was going to start her, I think it was CPA, it was either accounting or finance career. Right. And it kind of decided to give one last go this year to try to make it. But I think there is a bit more sponsorship. Like It's almost like the celebrity status, I think, is a bit larger in Korea for female golfers than it is in the States. And so as soon as you get that celebrity status and eyeballs on it, you get more sponsorship.
Honestly, I'm sure it is. If you have that many, I don't know what the population of Korea is, but if you have that many golfers in the top 50, it's going to be, that's a huge, a much bigger proportion of the population than in the States, I would think. So it's going to be more popular, and they're going to be more celebrities, and the sponsorship dollars follow that typically. And so there's next week. Is it next week that the tour? Yeah. So next week is the Tour Championship. Adam, I think you have something you want to say about the Tour Championship, if I'm not mistaken.
I'm gonna push Craig off his soapbox for a second. I'm gonna climb up, but it'll be a little bit shorter. Tour Championships next week, and just actually before we aired this, I saw a couple tweets come out about the field, and I believe it's a 70-person limited field no-cut event, and there's a couple sponsors invite, but notably, Sophia Popov did not make the Tour Champion. Obviously, she had that, we talked about on the podcast, she had that great run this year and won the Women's British Open. Vaulted her way up, kind of changing her career. She was caddying, I think, like 3 or 4 weeks right before that. Huge breakthrough in her life. But she wasn't an LPGA member when that win happened. So she didn't collect the points. So she's not in the top 70 or the field of 70. And they had a couple of sponsors invites, and they went to Natalie Gulbis, who has played in 6 tournaments this year and hasn't played a single weekend. She hasn't made a single cut. So you have the Women's British Open winner.
No, sorry, I'm just going to interrupt you for 1 sec, because I don't think it is the British Open. I think it's the Women's Open Championship.
I must have been reading the U.S. publication.
I know. I was just, because I said the same thing a few times, I think, this week, where I was like, oh yeah, like the Women's British Open. I'm like, wait, we don't say British Open for the men. We're not, we say Open. Right, it's not called the British Open. That's just what we call her.
She's the champion golfer of the year.
She's the Open champion.
Open champion golfer. But yeah, she's not playing. I think we kind of talked about it a little bit before the podcast. I know it's a sponsor's invite. They can do whatever they want. They throw the money behind it, blah, 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 blah. But it just doesn't seem right. It just doesn't seem right to me. I know it's LPGA and it's LPGA points, or I don't know. It just, I think there's something wrong with the system.
I think the other thing about that too is that since she won there, she's played pretty well. Like, it's not like she's won there and then she's been missing cuts and stuff. Like, she hasn't missed a cut since then. She's got, a handful of top 25s. She
played pretty well this week.
She is a one of these people who I believe had this story where she just missed a couple times in moments where, if she made this putt here or she would have qualified anyways for the LPG status, and there's all these little things that happen. I believe she actually got Lyme disease as well, and that derailed her for a few years.
I think that's right.
Set her back. But this, I don't think it was like, although she was ranked way down when she won the British Open, I don't think that's necessarily a reflection of her being like a one-off long shot champion. I think that it's like her that's the break she needed to kind of break through, and
the
I think
opportunity.
she's going to be kind of exactly. And I think she's going to kind of be a consistent fixture now on the tour. So I mean, I totally agree with you, Adam. She has rightfully earned her spot in that tour championship.
It also just seems like if I get that it's probably the sponsor's choice, but like, how do you not choose the person who won a major and is like a great feel-good story? Like, I don't understand how you don't choose that.
Yeah. And has a draw. Like, she will pull in fans, and like, I would be more inclined to pay attention to what she's doing than Natalie Gulbis,
Well, I was kind of scrolling through the comments, and I mean, comment sections are completely toxic across the internet for the most part. But people were like, maybe it's a good opportunity for Natalie to step down and be like, I don't think I'm the right person for this invite, but I mean, that's a personal decision as well,
and if she has an opportunity,
but also
why
like putting that on
her
to do that. Like, I always hated a little bit when that's suggested, that like, this person should step aside. Well, like,
just like I was saying about Sophia, like maybe this is her opportunity. She somehow comes out of nowhere and does well in this thing, and maybe gets more status.
Just like I always say about Sandy Lyle, like I don't know why he's still teaming up the Masters, but you know, like maybe this is the year.
Who knows? Maybe lightning in a bottle. Do you guys want to recap some of your DFS picks for this?
Sorry, just real quick before we get off the Tour Championship. So Jin Young Ko, who is somewhat related to our DFS picks, she needed a top 4. So she had this is only her 3rd event on the LPGA. She since COVID she just chose to stay in Korea and play there. So this is only her 3rd event that qualified for points for the Tour Championship, and she needed a top 4. And so she ended up in 2nd to qualify for next week, which...
That's such a boss move. That's like DJ showing up at the Wyndham Championship.
Would a win get me in?
And I'm into the BMW, and that's a 3rd there.
Yeah, taking the whole year off and showing up at the Wyndham. This will be good.
So I think that's a natural segue into we did a pick show for the U.S. Women's Open just for DraftKings had LPGA this week, which they don't always do, and they will be next week, and so we will be putting out a video for that one. But my pick was Jin Young Ko, just because she had good results over in Korea, and she's just an absolute stud golfer, and I think she was either 4th or 5th in pricing, so it just seemed like it seemed like a good deal. So that was my pick. She ended up tied for 2. My sleeper was Hannah Green, last year's Open champion, I want to say. She won a major last year. Right. I can't remember for sure which one it was. And she made the cut, tied for 40th. So,
yeah, and I had Inbee Park, who had a great Monday, I guess, to climb up the leaderboard and post T6. And my sleeper was Stacey Lewis, the local, and a little bit like Hannah Green fell off. They both had struggled on Sunday, so she fell to 44th. But hey, we had 4-4 through to the weekend. That's a pretty clean DFS picks. We haven't talked about it yet, but we might pick a few more this week. We might double that. I don't know. It's some more names.
No, I thought we had talked about it when we were.
Oh, are we? I don't know. Steer me around and point me in the right direction.
If our note page is right here, then the next thing is a soapbox Sunday for Craig.
I've ranted enough, and I feel like we need to move on. So I'm gonna leave this one for now. I'll save.
Let's not talk about what it is. We're gonna pocket it.
I think we'll pocket it for later because I think
it's a topic
it is
that we could bring up at a different time.
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
But just to let you know, I've got some good rants bottled up.
Let us know if you like the Sunday Soapbox, because I don't know. We could cancel it after this one show. I don't know.
It's up in the air. Up in the air. So let's move on to the DP World Tour Championship. Adam, do you want to give us a recap of that?
Yeah, so the European Tour's finale. It's the race at Dubai, kind of like all these other tours. You get the limited field, no-cut event. They're in Dubai. I think they've been at this course since like mid-2000s or so. They've been here for...
I would say 07 or 08, somewhere around there.
Yeah, a dozen years or so, maybe more. But yeah, some of the best golfers in the world, some surprise entries, guys that did well in majors and are kind of playing their first European Tour events. But it was an absolutely packed leaderboard through 54 holes. We had 7 golfers within one shot of the lead, including Patrick Reed, Fitzpatrick, Hovland, Bobby Mack, your boy Kevin, Lee Westwood. But it was Matt Fitzpatrick who went 5 under through his first 7 holes on Sunday and finished with a 68 and got his second DP World Tour champ, his second win on that course. I mean, we can talk about the other. Lee Westwood actually won his third race at Dubai. He actually, I think it was a solo second or tie for second.
Yeah.
Solo second that took it.
So that was a big point that I would like to talk about because I think that I probably, like a lot of people, were happy that it ended up being Lee Westwood as opposed to some of the other people it could have been.
Patrick Reed.
So, mainly yes. But so I did try to watch as much of this live as I could. So for me, it started at about midnight for the leaders, and I watched Fitzpatrick play the first 4 holes in absolutely flawless golf. That he did not miss a shot. He made 4 straight birdies. Unfortunately, my boy Robert McIntyre made 2 bogeys on the first 2 holes, including a par 5.
The second hole there.
Which was a tough start, and with what Fitzpatrick was doing, it pretty much played him out of it. So after,
I was really hoping because he was 1 off the lead, I think, going into Sunday.
Yeah,
I was really hoping.
Who's that? Bobby Mack?
Yeah, because he could have qualified for the Masters too with it.
Yeah, he could have played himself into the top 50. So I think he needed to, like, I don't know exactly what position he would have needed to hit, but I think it was top 2 or 3.
Yeah,
might have got him in there. So I was hoping for a strong Sunday for him, and unfortunately it was the opposite. He shot +5 and
77
really fell down the leaderboard, which was too bad.
Now that said, he did still move up to 56th. So
yeah, he moved up.
There is another cutoff for top 50
that's true.
in the world
Right.
in like the week before the Masters.
Yeah.
So it's not
That's
it's not like his chances are done. It just means that he didn't get in at this point.
Yeah,
That's a good storyline to follow. I think that Kevin, I'm rooting for your boy.
He's my boy. I'm really pulling for him. And you know what? He was playing in a group with Reed, which I think Reed's a big name. Whether for the right reasons or not.
And I don't know if he, not only is he a big name, but I don't know if he'd be an easy personality to play with, depending on his mood. I
totally agree. It's a tough pairing, I think, for a younger guy like Robert McIntyre, who he's been in contention on Sundays before, but a guy like Reed brings a lot of what's the word I'm looking for, guys? A lot of
intensity.
Yeah, a lot of intensity, all those things.
But playing with Bryson too, it's like it becomes
a lot of attention. Yeah.
Well, and if Patrick Reed is the leader, 36-hole leader, I think he was tied at 54 holes, and he's not getting it done. He's going to be super fired up about the fact he's not getting it done. Yeah. And so if you're playing with that person, you have to get into your own thing.
Exactly. And I think that experience, even though he didn't play well this time, I think that will bode well for him in the future. So, unfortunate for him this time, but so I stayed up till about 1:30 watching this. Fitzpatrick had just blitzed early on, and I didn't see a way that the way he was playing, that he was going to fall back at all. I figured kind of it was over. Cantor had kind of kept pace for a little bit with him, and it was a few back. But the guy I was really pulling for, and Robert McIntyre, was kind of out of it, and Fitzpatrick was looking flawless. The one guy I did place I already had my money on Robert McIntyre going into the tournament, so I was obviously pulling for him. But the one guy I thought was being disrespected going into Sunday was the elder statesman Lee Westwood, one back, and he had the longest odds of anybody in the group that was within one stroke. So,
and he's been playing good golf. Obviously because he won the race to Dubai, but I think people don't appreciate the fact that he's having a bit of a resurgence here.
But he also, so I was listening to some of his post-round interview. He said his back was so fired up on Monday, he didn't know if he was going to be able to play or finish the tournament. So there was legit question marks.
Well, that may have played into the odds a little bit, and I did not have that information. So,
but hey, he battled through it.
He played great, and I believe I could be wrong. Did he birdie 18? I want to say he birdied 18. Yeah, to get to where he finished, and then he had some help from the groups behind him with guys falling off.
Cantor doubled 17, right?
Yeah, and I think Reed made some bogeys down the stretch there too, to fall back. So giving Westwood the solo second and the race to Dubai championship. So good on. Lee Westwood, what is he, 47 now? And I
want to say, didn't Cantor's double so that he didn't tie Westwood, make it so that Westwood won it?
Yeah.
instead of Patrick Reed, right?
As someone who had chosen Cantor as a sleeper going into the week, I don't feel great about this, but yeah, you do have like I will take it for the Westwood over Reed winning the European season-long event.
So he's won it in 2000, 2009, and 2020. Lee Westwood.
That's crazy.
He's won in 4 different decades. It is crazy.
Yeah.
I was trying to think of a comparison. I was thinking of Vince Carter playing. He's played an NBA game in 4 different decades. I mean, you kind of have to get lucky to do that kind of thing. But winning or getting winning the race to Dubai is not just playing. It's being at the top of the game.
So what do you think of when you think of Lee Westwood playing golf? What do you think of? Like in terms of a strength?
Master sleeper.
Yeah, that's a pretty. I'd say that's pretty apt. Yeah, it's a master sleeper. He's a perennial master sleeper.
I always think of like hitting long irons super crisp, and I don't know why I think that, but I just think of him with like a, in the pre-hybrid era, hitting like 2-iron or 3-irons, just on a rope. And I don't know why I have that image in my mind, but
I think of him as being just someone who's like super solid, like all around solid.
Yeah.
Then I see him like, when I envision him, it's almost like I see a putt just sliding by the hole when it should drop, and him walking by, and it's like
I also feel like he would just come and get you by the neck, and like he's one of those guys you'd be buddies with. You're like, it's okay, Adam. I'll get you a beer in the pub after. It'll be okay, man. I've had my hardships. Whatever. I've made that bogey before.
He's one of those guys.
Everyone seems like all the guys out there seem to root for him.
Yeah, he's one of those guys that I think as he gets older, and you just can't help but respect what he's done over the course of his career. And I wasn't necessarily pulling for him 10 or 15 years ago, but I can't help but pull for him now. Yeah. Like he
also just seems like one of those guys. You talk about like old man strength or manual labor strength, or just like that, like when you shake someone's hand, or you just like you're playing some kind of sport against them and you have to post up on them or something, and you're like, man, that guy's strong. Like it's not that like that showy gym strength. It's like that, man, that guy's he's solid.
Old man strength. It's a real thing.
It's you're playing pickup hoops and he's not moving off the block when you're dipping your shoulder into him.
What I'm wondering is, like, I've lost my, like, young man strength, but haven't got my old man strength yet. I'm in this, no.
Can I sign up for some of that old man strength, please?
Does it kick in the 40s, or when does it come?
When does it come? It's not now, I'll tell you that. So, Craig, one of your boys, or he's not an official boy for you, but I feel like he's almost like an unofficial boy.
He's creeping up. I think he might be a 2021 boy for Craig.
He might be. Hovland.
I was thinking someone else. Sorry. I was thinking someone else.
Oh, you thinking Cantor?
No. I got someone later on. But
we've got a little...
I see.
I've got a point of contention he wants to bring up in a sec.
Well, we'll see. Well, yeah.
Hovland, I think Hovland is a superstar in the making. I mean, I think that's a fairly popular opinion, but... The more we did a DFS pick show for this one, and I thought I was going to pick Sungjae Im, and I was like, Hovland was coming off the win, and so what I was going to try to do in justifying why Sungjae was a good choice was to like compare him to Hovland, who is similarly priced, but like everyone is going to be on Hovland, but then like everything I looked at, I was like, no, like Hovland is like he's better than I thought he was, and like he's putting up numbers that are like future superstar numbers, not like, oh, he's gonna be 25 to 10 in the world. He's putting up, he's got the kind of ball striking that he could potentially be a top 5 fixture once he has it all, once he polishes off all aspects of his game. And so I ended up picking Hovland because the further I got into the numbers, the more I was like, well, no, I do want Hovland as my pick.
I'm shocked. I mean, I think I responded on our show and I said, I don't see it happening. Like, you come off a win, a pretty dramatic win on Sunday in Mexico, and you fly over to Dubai and tee it up with probably limited course
knowledge,
even walking. I was like, it just seems like a trap. It's a trap. Man, he's solid. Like,
you got to think like he's gonna be one of these guys. I feel like that's just gonna have an incredibly high floor, and if his short game is sharp that week, like I think he's gonna contend. You know,
well, he's got that ball striking. So I mean, one of my boys, Hideki Matsuyama, his game's not in a really good place right now in terms of like all aspects of it coming together. But he's such a good ball striker that he's still, what does he fall to, like 30-ish in the world? Like, I think Hovland's that type where he's such a good ball striker that if he can get all aspects of his game to be, you know, elite, then he's going to be a top 5 player in the world, as you know, in the long term. But even if he, you know, his putting or his short game around the green play, if that comes and goes from year to year, he's not going to fall to 60th or 70th. Like his ball striking is going to keep him relevant, I think, at all times.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that, Craig. Adam, one of your unofficial boys had a pretty good showing here. Didn't get it done, but Patrick Reed. So what happened there?
I don't know.
I just had to throw it. I had to throw it to somebody. Any comments on Reed? Like to be honest, I was kind of. I after Robbie Mack got out to a pretty good start on Thursday, I woke up first thing. I checked the score on Friday and saw that Reed had shot a 64 and almost just wanted to call in sick for the day and go back to bed. I was so depressed. But
I mean, I'll do my quick read. Sorry. So I wanted to go in with 0 DFS ownership, making 20 laps. I was going to have 0 read. But then by our Wednesday night Twitch show, right before we were about to tee off, I'm like, the more I look at it, I actually think there's a good chance for him to win. So I did sprinkle him in. By halfway point, he was leading, and it felt like this whole an American has never won narrative was coming up, and Reed was going to be Mr. Captain America and fly over and get the win and win the race to Dubai and all this. And I was like, that seems to be his kind of fuel. That's going to get him going. That's going to get him his intensity level just like even higher.
Which I have to interject. I thought that was kind of a cheeky narrative, given that it wasn't really a real season either, though. You know, like anyway.
I think it's a cheeky narrative, probably just flat out. It just is.
Yeah.
But yeah, he didn't get it. He didn't close on Sunday. That's it. I mean,
so I agree that is a bit of a cheeky narrative. If say of him or Morikawa, I would have rather Reed be the one to win. Because first off, I think Reed has a ton of baggage in the States. I think Patrick Reed gets to play a little bit more freely. We spoke about this. We did a halfway recap. I think he gets to play a little bit more freely over there, you know, wherever he is in Europe or in the Middle East where it was. But he also, like, he does travel over to play in events over there. So he didn't after the Tour Championship this year, and I'm sure there was, you know,
he played
the Masters,
in the BMW PGA, didn't he?
Yeah.
So he did the BMW PGA, but that was before the Tour Championship. So he chose. Oh no, sorry, that was after. That was before the Masters. But the Masters messed things up. So you look at last year, so 2019 fall, after the Tour Championship, he did his full fall season besides the HSB Champions he came back for, but he did 5 tournaments over there. So like it does give me some, like, I would rather someone that is making an effort to be more of an international player as opposed to a Morikawa who, from what I understand, I think he took up European Tour membership before he had guaranteed his PGA membership. I don't know exactly how it worked, but essentially after a World Golf Championship, he took up his European Tour membership. But from what I know, he hasn't actually just gone over there to play in regular European Tour events.
So quickly, in his defense, though, in his I mean, of course you're going to say this when you're over there, but he says that he does hope to play over here rather than just, not just the WGCs and the majors. He wants to come over here for some events, maybe the Rolex series or whatever it is, right? So,
and I would love that. Like, I would love it if that became more of a common thing that,
Well, and maybe with the new agreement between the European Tour and the PGA, maybe that will be a possibility for some of these guys. And I think that's what everybody wants to see, ultimately. Like, a World Golf Tour is, like, sort of...
I mean, like, the Open Championship, like, injected into my veins, that might be my favorite like major. Like, I know Masters gets a lot of hype. I don't know, but like
it's Masters and Open Championship. I think are one too for sure, and very different but awesome, both of them.
Yeah. I just feel like and this is kind of a side rant, but when you're on the PGA, when you're in mostly U.S. continental U.S. with trips to Hawaii, Bermuda, Mexico, like it is pretty limited. Your global kind of perspective there. But when you go over and you play in, all over the world where they are, it just gives new courses, different perspectives, all these different things that kind of elevate really, golf, I think.
Let's be honest, it's a different type of golf. Like, it's not just a different course. It's a totally different type of golf. When you're playing golf on the ground versus in the air, it's completely different. And,
I sometimes accidentally play golf on the
when it's chippy in the air. Yeah, but it's... a lot of people argue that's how golf was supposed to be played, and I think it's part of the reason we all love it. It's about shot making, and so I think if we can see more of that, that would be great. And that's not necessarily the kind of course this was, but it's often the kind of golf that the European Tour can offer.
Variety over there. On the European Tour.
Yeah. I think the other, just from a pure, if I was advising it, what's Morikawa, 23-ish? So from a personal brand, Bryson's talking about building his brand always. Those people should understand that, there's it's over 7 billion people in the world now. Not all of them live in the United States. So for these people to be building a global image, talk to Tiger, talk to Phil. They'll let you know how much money they make from all their different sponsorships. And if they did not have any...
I don't know that they will let you know that, but...
but there's a reason that Phil would go travel to the race to Dubai in years, there's a reason that... they kind of get the broader understanding of how much money there is all over the world.
What was the sponsor that you were telling me about? Was it DP World? You're telling me about someone that had... I'm like, do you know what they do? I'm like, I don't know. And you're like, oh, they have these products, or...
maybe it was CJ?
I don't know. But you're telling me about these...
Oh, Alfred Dunhill.
Oh yes, right, Alfred Dunhill.
Alfred Dunhill. They're like luxury men's products. I was looking at because I looked them up because I was like, Alfred Dunhill Championship. This is one of the ones that was down in South Africa, and it was like leather, essentially like a business card holder that was like $300, and it was like the cheapest thing I saw on their website. And I was like, oh, this is not my. This is not
why
for
I don't
me.
know about them. We do not live in the same worlds.
Well. Do you have anything else you want to talk about with the DP World Tour Championship before we...
Okay, well, I think it was just announced today. Maybe I forget exactly when it came out, but Rookie of the Year, Craig. This is who I thought was going to be on.
This is where there's contention.
Your boy, Sami Välimäki. He won Rookie of the Year. I thought it was a very, very good rookie class. So Morikawa could have been part of this, but. I mean, I think I'm glad he didn't get it. I'm glad he didn't go to Morikawa, but I don't know, Craig. Give me your reasoning for.
Well, so Adam's argument. Adam takes contention because he thinks Rasmus Højgaard should be the Rookie of the Year, and understandably so. Because I jumped into the numbers a bit, and it is close. But
okay, I also jumped into the numbers, but I'm interested to see where this goes.
What do you want to make your case for Højgaard, and then I'll defend Välimäki?
So here's what happened. Race to Dubai. Välimäki 11th in Race to Dubai. Højgaard 16th. They both played 19 events. So very, very close, very even there, measurement. A official world golf ranking from when they started the year to when they ended, Välimäki went 398th to 70th in the world. Højgaard went from 200th to 86th. And then win top 5, top 10s. I think Välimäki also got him there. One win, I think 5 or 6 top 10s.
So I have all those numbers. So I'll give them to you if you want. Okay. So wins, Højgaard has 2, Välimäki has 1. So Højgaard gets him in wins and in top 5s. Højgaard has 4 top 5s, Välimäki has 3. But on all the other ones, once we get past that, so Välimäki has 7 top 10s to Højgaard's 6 and 10 top 20s to Højgaard's 6 still. So Højgaard has nothing besides his top 10s. He has no other finishes in the top 20s.
Yeah. So that's what I was looking on.
And then once we get to miscuts. So I counted these without, both of them had a miscut at the U.S. Open. I didn't count those ones. Højgaard had 9 miscuts. Välimäki had 3. So I think the only argument I think you can really say is that Højgaard had the 2 wins and he had, he had slightly better in the top 5. But
4 miscuts for Välimäki. But so I'm pulling back my Højgaard kind of position. And once I dug a little bit deeper, Välimäki had a really good year.
Well, and I think the other thing, you had dug quite deeply into Højgaard going into the U.S. Open or like around that time, and his play since then hasn't been good. And so like I think that's ultimately, I think at that point he probably would have been the front runner. But I don't know exactly what it was since then, but he hasn't essentially had high finishes and he's missed quite a few cuts since then. The last one, just because I did the work to look this up. So I had them playing in 12 events together, not counting the U.S. Open. And so head to head in those events, Välimäki took him 8-4. So
there you go. That's it. There it is, right there.
But I think the first Finnish golfer to win Rookie of the Year, I think.
Could be, but honestly, I love this young crop of European players.
Yeah. There is some young talent for sure. Great young talent.
I mean, let's be honest, right across the board right now, and it's not just the young guys; it's the guys that are kind of more established. It's just a great time to be a golf fan. I can't even count how many guys we've talked about who could be perennial top 5 in the world ranking guys.
We have 50 top 5s.
Yeah, so. I
was reading an article saying that like the young U.S. golfers, and maybe I think you can make a good argument, but like how the young U.S. golfers right now are going to dominate like this next generation. But like I see a lot of like I don't think Rahm and Rory are going anywhere soon, and they're arguably. I mean, right now DJ's. I think you can't argue with him being number 1, but those two are going to be in the top 5 for quite a while still. So you think about from a Ryder Cup point of view, that's 2 anchors on your team, and then you look beyond that, and there's a lot of depth there.
Well, look at the President's Cup too. I mean, they give them a run for their money there, and they got a lot of young talent on that team as well. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of good young talent across the board for sure. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, unless you got anything else, I think that's a pretty good place to wrap it for this week.
I think so. It was a good week of golf. Nice to have. I mean, I didn't watch any shootout. I don't know if you guys have anything to say about.
Oh no, the QBE shootout. Who won that?
I think Kuchar
and Harris.
Harris, yeah. Harris finally gets a win.
Oh, hey, ring it up. I don't think it counts. Is it an official PGA win?
I don't think it counts though.
I don't know, Kevin. Are you super excited for this week? Charlie,
is this the PNG? PNC, whatever it is.
We got Thomas versus Woods, I think, paired up.
I mean, now that you mention it, yeah, I'm very excited.
Pair him up with?
We got each other, like Thomas versus Woods.
Oh yeah. For some reason, I thought they were teasing that Annika Sorenstam was playing with them.
I thought I heard on the
broadcast. I thought that's what they were talking about.
I thought that I heard the other.
Well, you guys need to get your facts straight here.
I did see, I don't know if it's the same one, but John Daly had an Instagram clip of his son and he can rip it.
Yeah, I did see that.
Doesn't surprise me.
Yeah.
He's got a nice swing.
So just real quick, we are going to put out a show where we're going to put out a 2020 awards. All of our awards are yet to be finalized, but we're going to go beyond, player of the year and rookie of the year stuff. We're going to get some creative ones. And then we're also going to take a look at the betting markets. So the future markets for all the majors, the 4 men's majors next year.
Oh, I love it. I'm already looking at those anyways. So.
Well, that's what I figured.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us, everyone. Please subscribe, rate, and review our show wherever you get your podcasts. Check out our YouTube channel. You can always go to grandstandgolf.com for all of our content. And thanks again for listening. We look forward to talking more golf with you in the future. Take care, everyone.
See you guys. Take care.
Have a good one, guys. See you next time.